Hi, I'm LonnaKelly, and this is Hudson Valley Art Speak. Thanks for tuning in tonight and watching the show. Today I have Bill Prickett with me, and Bill is a photographer among his other talents, but we're going to be talking tonight about photography and a very specific kind of photography, iPhonography. So Bill, thanks for coming tonight.
My pleasure.
It's good
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Good to see you. So I kind of know you more as a person who's always out shooting with his DSLR, and you're making kind of, seems like a transition to using your iPhone much more?
Be more like an addition than a transition, but I will go out oftentimes and shoot with a DSLR and work with what I come back with in the iPhone, or I'll go and shoot with the iPhone, dump it into Apple Photo or even Preview, monkey around with it there, toss it into Photoshop, stick it back on the screen, and then start shooting it with the iPhone again.
Shooting the screen of your computer?
Yep.
So how many iterations does this go through? You take the picture,
wherever my mind goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be 2 or 3. But the cool thing with the iPhone is you can go in and out, and you'll come in and out of the pixels. And you can really get some cool textures and patterns off of the computer screen. And as you tilt and shift the lens, you start distorting and moving things around, which is a little easier to see there. And then these days you can get lenses for your camera, and you can get like wide angle lenses or macro lenses or telephoto lenses. It's unlimited.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Are the additional lenses expensive?
No. Everybody has to have an iPhone case to keep the thing protected, but Manfrotto makes one that's durable that you can then screw lenses in. This whole thing is about $50.
Oh, you're
and
kidding.
then for like another $50, you can get a wide angle and a macro lens. And there's like, if you go floating around Instagram or Facebook, you'll find people who are doing macro photography with these.
What about resolution though, or hand shaking, or that's like doing macro is working?
No. The iPhone is surprisingly and incredibly sharp and stable.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, you go back to using a DSLR.
Right.
Because half of what I'm using the iPhone for are the goofy little apps you can get off of the iPhone store.
So let's just do like a quick overview of some of your work, some of the stuff that you've done over the last year or so. Tell me about some of those photographs.
Okay, well, some of those photographs are these photographs.
Okay.
And the one common thing is I'm working with color separation. In the case of this one, it's a bunch of black and white negatives that I just, for Father's Day, got myself a negative scanner. And I had shot a whole series of stuff back in the jazz nightclubs in Philadelphia back in the 80s. And I finally got a chance to put them together through the 3 primary colors of white light, red, blue, and green, in Photoshop. And what I would do is I would put them together, and you can see where they come together, you have white, and where they separate, you start breaking the colors apart. Then I discovered...
So let me just stop for a minute. So the trumpet player is done in Photoshop?
Yeah,
as opposed to
the
phone
soprano
apps.
sax.
Okay, soprano sax.
Yes.
Sorry.
The horn player.
Yeah.
Was done with Photoshop and black and white negatives. But that led me to, I discovered that there was an iPhone app called the Harris Camera app, which you shoot 3 pictures. One, you'll shoot the first picture, and then it'll take it, and then you'll shoot a second picture, and that'll go. The first picture will go through a cyan filter. The second one will go through a magenta filter, and the third time you shoot something will go through a yellow filter. And when you put the 3 of them together, wherever there's overlap, you don't see any color separation at all. But where there's not overlap, you start to see the colors splitting up, just like this first instance.
Right.
And then I went one step further, is to start, I would take the same picture and just change it up through different apps. Say I found a a pencil drawing app, a sketch app. So I'll take a picture and run it through the iPhone app and make, say, a black and white pencil sketch, or a brown paper bag pencil sketch, or there's like 18 different textures. Usually 4 or 5 of them are to your liking. And then there's a new app, or another app called the Glaze app, which does the same thing, only it gives you oil painting results. Mary Smoot hates that one.
I bet she does. And are these free apps, or are these apps that you purchase?
Well, they're anywhere from free to, I guess the most I've spent is, say, $3, $4.
Yeah.
But they're so fast and easy to use. I'm sure that I can go digging deep into Photoshop to find really precise ways of doing it. But the iPhone apps are just much more robust.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So you're taking these photos and then sitting at your computer and
Yep.
photographing.
Yep. I'll either
the monitor.
I will either I'll put up, say, in the case of the Halloween Maryland one, I took the same picture and ran it through several different My Sketches in the My Sketch app.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I would shoot the computer monitor. I would shoot one texture, one black and white photo, through the cyan filter.
Right.
And then it gives you a grid system, so you can line it up. And then I would shoot another texture through a magenta filter, and then onto a yellow filter. And that's where you get the color separation or the color overlap.
Right. And I think that there's a shot of all the phone apps that the apps that you use. Do you use all those apps?
Essentially, I use them all, but I really use the Harris app, the Harris Camera app, and the My Sketch, and the Glaze app, and the Waterlog app. Waterlog will take a photograph, or you can shoot something, and it'll render it as a watercolor painting. The My Sketch is the best of the bunch that will take a photograph and make a sketch out of it.
Right.
And the Glaze app is the best of the bunch so far that does oil painting. There are others where you can make polygons, or hexagons and polygons, different geometric shapes. I forget the name of that one.
It sounds like it's just limitless.
Yeah, it's unlimited.
It's wherever your imagination can take you,
Yeah.
you can do it.
And then there are texture apps.
Uh-huh.
There's mixture and texture and you name it.
Yeah. Let's look at your the black and white elements. Let's talk about them
Okay.
for a couple of minutes. You have used mostly the Harris shutter effect on those and the tricolor separation. Yeah.
So I went out in particular. I like shooting in museums or weird places, so Halloween was of course on the top of the list. But I'll go and shoot a thing, a painting, a person, a situation, and then I will somehow get it onto the computer or onto a server, and I'll then either put it up in Photoshop and project it on the screen fairly large, or I'll download it off of a server into the camera, or into the
iPhone.
The iPhone's photo folder, and I will then either load it into the Harris camera, or I will put it in Photoshop and shoot it. Either way, you can manipulate it. It's easy enough to do it either way you feel like, or sometimes both.
Right. If you had to tell somebody who wanted to get started, what are the top 2 apps that you would say would be good to start with?
Well, I'm having a lot of. I guess the Harris camera. If you want to do the camera separating, the photo separating. If you really want to manipulate the texture and the look of an image, the Glaze app I really love. Waterlog, I love. Waterlog is actually cool. If you go to an opening reception or have some kind of social function, you can always pull that out, take pictures of people, and make watercolors out of them.
Yeah.
It's always good for laughs. You've seen me do that.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So Waterlog is kind of like at the top of my list. And there's a lot of people doing stuff. You can go on Instagram and just do the hashtag Waterlog, and all sorts of cool stuff will come up.
Yeah.
The Glaze app I love for doing the painting look, and then the Sketch app. It's called My Sketch, I believe.
Right.
And then, if you feel like it, there's always the iPhone version of Photoshop, but I haven't had to really monkey with that as much as the desktop version.
Yeah. So what about your new work? Are you taking any new directions? What are you doing?
The new work is there happened to be a lot of, I love going to museums and I love shooting the work. And this past year, there were a lot of different shows at the Met and over at the Museum of Modern Art. There was the Picasso sculpture exhibit, and then there was, I believe her name was Jacqueline de Reeves show going on at the Met. And then there was this a painting exhibition by a woman, the last name is LeBron, but she was a painter, a portrait painter back during the French Revolution time. She was born in the late or middle to late 1700s, and then she lived into the middle 1800s. But what I did was I went to the Met and I shot the different paintings there, and then I went around the Met and started shooting more portraits. And what I started to do was in Photoshop and with the Harris app, I would take 3 different paintings, 3 completely different paintings, and I would synchronize them with their eyes and nose. And so some of the latter pictures you'll see in the slide deck are, say, 3 different faces. The one I'm actually looking at right this minute.
Just say which number that is.
Number 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
The top layer is a woman, and the bottom layer is a man, and the third one is a teenage boy.
And they're all sandwiched together.
And they're all synchronized at the eyes and nose, and then sandwiched together, and where they diverge, they and split up the colors. That's where you get the dynamics.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. What resources, we're actually starting to get a little close to the end of our time here, so why don't we talk a little bit about online resources that might be available to people, like blogs or different things like that they might be able to
well, all you have to
access.
I accidentally came upon it. I don't know how I came upon I came upon it about a year ago, and I go, oh, this is a subject, iPhone photography. So, of course, the first place you go to is Amazon, looking for the term iPhone photography, and there's a plethora of stuff. And then once you start, all you have to do is get one book on iPhonography, and there's a gazillion different websites for people giving tips and tricks, and this best app, and these best apps, and everything. And then inevitably, if you ever spend much time and leave your email address behind at a website, you'll end up getting more.
Right.
And then, so one of them, my favorite, believe it or not, is the iPhone Photography School. They keep sending me emails on the 7 best tips for shooting landscape, or the 10 best tips for shooting abstract, or you name it. And you know, it's a complete, what do you call it, Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole.
Right. So what was the name of that website again?
iPhone Photography School.
iPhone Photography School. So we're out of time.
Of course.
Of course. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's so good to talk about this. I go away like I usually do, like knowing a lot more.